Hi guys, I have given this advice before and I will keep on giving it until James Cleverly, now Home Secretary, takes it. It costs just £42 to legally change your name. Perhaps he can put it against his parliamentary or ministerial expenses if necessary. So as we know, the Supreme Court has ruled against the government on their Rwanda policy. The court deemed it unlawful to send people to Rwanda because that country is not safe in a number of ways. The government's reaction was that they may ignore the court and deem Rwanda safe. Lord Sumption, who certainly can't be regarded as some sort of left-wing anti-Tory, said the government's plan was extraordinary and perhaps a problem constitutionally. James had a not-so-cleverly response.
I just want to play to you what Lord Sumption, a former Justice of the Supreme Court, had to say about your policy. The Rwanda plan is absolutely central to your policy, and it's been in the works for a very, very long time. This is what Lord Sumption said. He was speaking to us for the Today podcast.
I've never heard of a situation in which Parliament intervenes to declare the facts, i.e. the safety or unsafety of Rwanda, to change the facts from those which have been declared by the courts to be correct. The courts have perused hundreds of pages of documents to arrive at this conclusion. For Parliament simply to say the facts are different would be constitutionally really quite extraordinary.
Right, that's Jonathan Sumption on the Today podcast, available now on BBC Sounds. Let's focus on what he said. Let's really be specific about what he said. Okay, he said for Parliament simply to say the facts are different would be constitutionally really quite extraordinary. Is that where you want to be?
Well, look, find me two lawyers and I'll give you three opinions. The point being...
What an extraordinary thing to say about Jonathan Sumption, who's not known to be an opponent of some of your views, and who's someone who is on the Supreme Court. He's responding to the Supreme Court decision.
Lawyers argue all the time. It's literally what they do. And I have very, very eminent lawyers who take a different view.
You've just lost at the Supreme Court.
We absolutely respect the judgments that are laid down, and we listen.
Does James Cleverly not understand the difference between a lawyer and a justice? Between a solicitor and a judge? Really, does he not understand the difference? Does he not understand that government can write legislation, can create laws, but they will be tested ultimately in the Supreme Court or in whatever court? Does he not understand that a judge will make the final decision whether something is lawful or not the government? The government, it's not, but just think about it. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal expert, but even I know that. The government create the laws. The government are not experts in the law. Some of them may be lawyers. Some of them may have a great deal of knowledge when it comes to the law, but they are not it's not their job to be like that. It's the job of the justice to decide whether something is lawful or not MPs, not government ministers. Does James Cleverly not understand that? He seems to, because he came out with a ridiculous statement, well, give me two lawyers and I'll give you three opinions. Yes, lawyers can argue back and forth whether something is lawful or not. The government are surrounded by experts, legal experts, some of them good, some of them absolutely terrible. But at the end of the day, it will be the justice that will decide. It will be the court that will decide. The government can argue, well, that we don't agree with it or whatever, but in a functioning democracy, you need to have a separate judiciary, and they will decide whether something's lawful or not. Now, on the flip side of this, which was very concerning about a year ago, the Tories were talking about allowing ministers, it seems, to appoint judges. Can you imagine that situation? Can you imagine a situation where James Cleverly, or before him, Suella Braverman, was like, well, I don't like this ruling. What we're going to do is we're going to replace the Supreme Court justices with our own justices. Well, let's put Nigel Farage into the Supreme Court or something like that. Or Boris Johnson. Remember, Boris Johnson's hanging around. He has nothing to do. Let's send him to the Supreme Court. Maybe this is an exaggeration. But they would be putting people in positions of power, ultimate power over the law, that were tinged politically. There would be political appointments. They shouldn't be political appointments. See, but once again, back to the main point here, James Cleverly doesn't understand the difference between a lawyer and a judge, it seems. He doesn't understand the difference between the government creating legislation and it being tested in the courts. Insane. He's a step up from Suella Braverman. He isn't as racist and bigoted as she is, but my God, you know, as I said at the beginning, it doesn't cost a lot of money to change your surname. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.